Hello everyone, my name is Rodney Gross, a senior kinesiology major from Baltimore, Maryland, currently attending Morehouse College, and today I will be giving a presentation on opioid awareness and naloxone training on behalf of Project Imhotep and Morehouse College. This summer I conducted research with Mrs. Constance Franklin and Mrs. Kelly Pearson. This research project was centered around the overall good health of all CDC employees, the general public, but especially NIOSH employees, and we were focused on bolstering their wealth of knowledge surrounding the opioid crisis in America. To give you some background on this research project and why we're doing it. Since the 1990s, thousands of Americans have succumbed to the effects of opioids. An opioid is a type of drug derived from the opium poppy plant. Opioids include morphine, oxycodone, and fentanyl. You've probably heard some of these names. Each of these three drugs represent three different types of opioids: natural, semi-synthetic, and synthetic opioids respectively. These pain-relieving yet highly addictive drugs can either be acquired through a prescription from a doctor or drug dealing. There was a rise in opioid overdoses in the 1990s. 20 years later in 2010, there was a rise in heroin overdose deaths. And 3 years later in 2013, there was a rise in synthetic opioid overdose deaths. Opioid abuse is indeed a concern of the Center for Disease Control and Prevention Department concerned with occupational safety, the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, better known as NIOSH. Also discussed in this presentation is naloxone, better known as Narcan, which is a life-saving drug that is administered to an overdose patient in order to reverse the effects of the opioid. On to the abstract. This slide deck was created by the employees of the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health in 2017 to increase opioid awareness and spread information about the opioid reversing drug naloxone, once again better known as Narcan. From 1999 to 2017, more than 700,000 people died from drug overdoses, and that number has increased to 932,000 by the year 2020. And this doesn't even include the unknown data out there from the years of 2020 to 2022. The overall purpose of this systematic review was to update an old slide deck presentation created by NIOSH employees in 2017 in order to reflect the new and updated data regarding opioids that we have today. Far too many NIOSH employees were dying from overdose deaths due to drug misuse and opioid abuse, hence the reason for the creation of the original slide deck. The slide deck also incorporates information regarding the use of Narcan, the opioid reversing drug. In order to complete this project, old data was reviewed and new data was found to replace that data. There were two infographics that were changed in order to reflect the new data. One picture was changed in order to give a more updated aesthetic to this presentation, and the updated slide deck reflects what still seems to be an opioid crisis that needs to be stopped in America. As it pertains to the methods used to complete this project, all data has come from trusted and the most credible sources we have possible. All data has been collected from the websites of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, better known as SAMHSA, and the National Safety Council, SNC. Information regarding the use of naloxone comes from naloxone trainings hosted by NIOSH experts and the National Coalition Against Prescription Drug Abuse. Meetings with these subject matter experts on substance abuse have taken place so that the data received is credible. Subject matter experts have presented statistics regarding the link between opioids and work, which address drug overdoses among United States workers, untreated substance use disorders, and opioid dispensing rates in workers' compensation. Here are our results. From 1999 to 2017, more than 399,000 people died from an opioid overdose. With our most recent data from 2020, the numbers show that 564,000 people have died from an opioid overdose from 1999 to 2020. In 2017, an individual had a 1 in 96 chance of dying from an opioid overdose. As of 2020, those odds are now 1 in 67. In 2017, on average, 130 Americans died per day from opioid overdoses. In 2020, 136 Americans died per day. When it comes to overdoses at work, 75% of all employees report that opioid use has affected their workplace and they don't know how to deal with it. When it comes to synthetic opioids, over 150 people die every single day from synthetic opioids such as fentanyl. Here's a clear representation of the lifetime odds of death in 2017 for opioid overdose deaths, as well as other causes of death. In the next slide, you will see the drastic shift in numbers. Here in Figure 2 is a clear representation of the number of pills containing fentanyl seized by law enforcement in the United States from 2018 to 2021. There's a clear increase in the number of pills containing fentanyl seized by law enforcement, and in 2021, 9,649,551 pills were seized by law enforcement. You can only imagine how many lives were going to be affected by the distribution of these pills. As we come to our conclusion, it is clear that the opioid crisis continues to impact thousands of people every single day. Employees all over the country are being affected by opioid misuse, not just NIOSH workers. With continued naloxone training and distribution of naloxone kits, more lives can and will be saved. We recommend that surveillance of opioid usage in America continuously takes place in order to continue to make this country aware of this crisis, to hopefully reduce the usage of opioids, and ideally to stop opioid abuse. Displayed here is my contact information. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed.